The United Kingdom has voted to lower its voting age from 18 to 16 years old. The change is set to take effect in the next general election in 2029. This means the UK will join a short list of countries also allowing 16-year-olds to vote, including Austria, Brazil, and Ecuador. Qasim Hussain joins us now from London. He's the vice president of the Further Education at the National Union of Students in the UK. And he probably has a really interesting take on this. All right, Qasim. So why is it felt by the politicians who advocated for this that 16 is an appropriate age to vote?
Thank you very much. I think fundamentally what you got to look at is that 16-year-olds in the UK can pay tax, they can work, and they can even join the military. So essentially, they're already young adults. The only thing they can't do is vote for those politicians. So I think that's why, after decades of campaigning, politicians have finally come on board and recognized how much opportunity this brings for young people to participate in democracy, but also for political parties to also see young people as being really pivotal to their manifestos as well.
I think it's an interesting point that you make, because here in the United States, where perhaps some people are raising an eyebrow as to the idea of having 16-year-olds vote, military service doesn't begin here, is not allowed until an individual is 18 years old, which is then when we typically consider them legally to be adult. So in the UK, if military service can happen at 16, and you already are working, as do a lot of young Americans here as well, and paying taxes, it does seem to make a strong case for why they should be allowed to vote for the people who might potentially send them into harm's way if they're in the military. The question, of course, is, does this favor any particular party?
I don't think so. And the reason that I say that is because it brings opportunity to all political parties to finally listen to young people who are 16 and 17, being that it creates an accountability between politicians and young people. So politicians are finally now able to look at young people and listen to them, see what they want from their government, and then finally bringing policies that attract young people. And that means for young people, they've got a variety of options to choose from, and they can be politically informed to make that decision. So it doesn't favor any party. Rather, what it does is open dialogue between the political system and young people, which we haven't ever had in the UK. So it's going to bring in lots of opportunity for young people to be able to be part of that conversation.
I think there's people here, again, in the U.S. who will look and they'll say, you know, my kid at 16 is not ready to consider these very important issues that are being debated, for example, here in Washington, D.C., or in their local governments. And so I would not be comfortable with them making decisions based on their lack of interest in news of the day or in the kind of policies that are being legislated. On the other hand, having spent most of a third of my life in Europe, and specifically in the UK, Luxembourg, and France, I always felt that European young people were a little bit more mature than Americans for a variety of reasons. And I wonder if that is another reason why it seems as if some people are behind this in the UK. I know that there's a fear here that if you let 16-year-olds vote, you know, the way that they follow social media and TikTok, dapping all over the place, it could be problematic. I'm only kidding. The internet's going to beat me up after this. But no, I'm just joking. But seriously, I do wonder if that is something that people are worried about in the UK, or there is a sense that no, here in the UK and across Europe, for example, Austria is on that list, that people who are younger take things a little bit more serious.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, first of all, no one is born into understanding the political system and how it all works. And I think at the center of all of this, what comes is political education, because right now in the UK, we've got lots of young people across the country who are willing to be involved, who already do form of democracy in their school, in their college, and this for them is going to be that huge step further. However, the bit where probably we should put a lot of attention and focus on is political literacy and political education, because that's what's really going to prepare young people to go to the ballot box, to understand how the political party work, how parliament works. So it's really something that the government should really invest into now, because it's a huge opportunity for them to have youth engagement where they've previously lacked youth engagement in parliament elections.
Really interesting. Qasim Hussain, thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you.